Hi, I'm Gabrielle with Americans for Prosperity. Welcome to Torch Talk. Today we're sitting down with Congressman Perry from Pennsylvania, and he's going to do some myth busting on tax reform and talk about all the different ways that Washington wastes your money. Congressman Perry, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. We're excited to talk to you and to learn more about you.
It's a great privilege. Thank you.
One of the things that you were a real champion of was tax reform, which was passed last December, which was a huge victory for the American people. Can you talk a little bit about why that reform was so needed and what kind of changes we're seeing?
Well, it's really simple to know why it's needed, because the federal government and government in general takes too much of people's hard-earned money. We fought hard because it's not enough. We're spending too much, and that's part of tax reform too, is not only how much you take in, but then how much you spend, because we don't want to take in less and then increase this crippling debt.
Right, and one of the things that critics of tax reform really like to harp on is this idea or myth that it would add to the deficit.
Yeah, sure.
Why is that wrong?
Well, it's wrong. So we looked at the numbers, and they say, well, you can't reduce taxes and then get rid of this debt. And to a certain extent, that seems intuitive, right? We're taking in less and you're spending the same amount. So how can that be? But what they don't recognize maybe or acknowledge is the economy is dynamic. We're looking at GDP for this quarter is projected to be at 4.5%, which is unbelievable. And that influx of revenue to the federal government makes every decision easier. And so we knew that all we had to do was get to 2.69 and it would pay for itself, so to speak, in 10 years. So we knew the numbers would work if we would just do it.
Mm-hmm. History shows that Reagan, Bush, Kennedy tax cuts all led to
Every
increases
single time.
in revenue.
Every single time. Mm-hmm. And it's like you said, it's not a Democrat-Republican thing, it's an economic thing, right? So simply put, people know how best to spend their own money. They don't need the government to decide. And if you let them have it and spend it the way they will, it's good for everybody, including the government.
Can you talk a little bit more about, could Washington's spending problem undermine tax reform if something isn't done?
Washington has to figure out that they're just like everybody else. You got to only spend what you take in. It's simple arithmetic. It's not calculus, it's not rocket science, it's arithmetic. I take in this much, that's how much I have to spend. Every bit I spend more than I'm taking from somebody else, whether it's a Social Security trust fund, whether it's borrowing from China, who's not really a friend of the United States. These are not good policies, so we have to make tough choices and prioritize what's important to us. Washington fails to do that again and again and again, and it's one of the things that I came here to fight for.
As you look at the fiscal year 2019 budget, what are some things that you're looking at that could maybe help rein in some of this spending? The
American people are paying, there's going to be more revenue coming in because of increased economic activity. So they're doing their part. But we've got to do our part, and you've got to just have an unjaundiced eye and look at everything, even the things that are important to you. Even the things, I'm a military guy, and it's in the Constitution, it says provide, right? The Constitution doesn't say promote the common defense, it says provide for the common defense. But I'm sure the founding fathers didn't mean and bankrupt the country in doing so. So we have to take a look at the Pentagon. The Pentagon and the DOD is finally being audited, and we should force that as fast as we can to get some answers there so we can see where there's some places to trim the fat and reduce the footprint there. And that, like I said, every one of us, even our own sacred cows, have to be looked at.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Congressman Perry, for taking the time to sit down with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.